Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast featuring a couple of members of the Win with Dice team, namely me and Ramon. Say hi.
Hey guys, how's it going?
So Ramon, it's a very, very special day for you right now.
Oh yeah, it's the day of recording it's my birthday.
Yeah.
Happy
birthday,
one
dude.
year. Yeah, thank you. 1 year older, 1 year the same, I guess.
I mean, slightly wiser. You've leveled up, as it were.
Yeah, I think some of my stats finally progressed a little bit, so
What
some new skills,
There you go.
chose some new feats. Definitely took crafting backyard. That's
Yeah, you kind of did. I mean,
dude.
what ability score would that fall under?
I don't know. Probably like wisdom or intelligence. I can't tell.
Okay. I was thinking wisdom, but I wasn't sure.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, last couple of episodes we've been doing this world building project, basically building a space inside of a randomly generated world.
Yeah.
So we wanted to take a break from that and maybe do more of a traditional episode because one, we have less time, and two, it's just been, since we did it twice in a row, we can just like get some space from it, do some more thinking, and then come back to it with more fresh minds.
Yeah, definitely. It is a little hard though, because I think that every time I do anything, I'm like, oh, that would be pretty cool if we could figure out how to make it work, like all the time.
Yes.
Right. I don't think I can really shut off that DMing brain. Like.
Yeah, no, I've been going through the same thing with some Starfinder stuff actually.
Yeah.
I've just been like wanting to, cause I started playing Halo again, and I don't know, I've been thinking about more space stuff, and I wanted to watch Treasure Planet while I still had Disney Plus.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
that too is also like an entire campaign story on its own, as well as that new Star Trek cartoon. Like everything I'm seeing is like, hey,
There's a Star Trek cartoon.
Yeah, Star Trek Lower Decks. Like, it's basically, instead of being about, like, the main crew of the ship, like everyone who's up on the bridge doing all the main space stuff, it's about, like, the people who work in the lower decks of the ship.
Oh, you mean like all the red shirts? They're
Yeah,
just
basically.
staff.
Like, all the background characters.
Oh, okay.
And they're part of the second contact team. So, like, instead of first contact where they introduce themselves to the alien races, they're part of the team that goes and, like, establishes all the Federation bureaucracy and all that stuff, as well as working in like the lower areas and all the small tunnels you have to crawl through and things like that.
Oh, okay. I figured the ship. I mean, the ship that I don't really watch Star Trek at all, but the ship always looks like really huge, and you only get to see like a very small part of it, which is just like the bridge all the time. Like you're all the time just in the bridge.
Yeah, like I never was super into Star Trek either, so I guess I didn't really like, because they, like in the first episode of the show, they're like, oh, are we gonna work up here? And like, nope, we're all the way down here. And I think it might have been exaggerated for effect, but I never realized how big those ships were actually meant to be.
Yeah, because didn't one of them like crash at one point in one of the movies? I only watched like maybe two of the Star Trek movies. Like I'm just kind of a Star Trek noob, so it's like...
Yeah, admittedly, same here. I know next to nothing about it. I honestly was just watching something else, and I hadn't turned the TV off, and then this show started, and I was like, well, I haven't gotten up yet. I'll give this a few minutes and see what happens. And it turns out it was pretty funny, so...
Yeah, all right, awesome. Well, you had a list of things you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I just had some like subject notes for, I don't know, making this seem like a regular podcast.
But Calvin, it is a regular podcast.
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
I wrote down 4 things. Do you have a D4 in front of you?
No.
Okay, pick a number between 1 and 4.
3.
3. Okay, custom items.
Oh, okay.
So,
feels like about Jeopardy. It's like...
so we did talk very briefly about like the sort of custom suit of armor and weapon that you had made for our home game. And I was thinking of some other items that I had made myself. So I was just thinking maybe we can sort of discuss like custom items that we've made or that we've come across that we were particularly into.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the one that I think I enjoy the most, it's also like probably the most silliest esoteric thing ever, because like, okay, you know, the last game we played with like my wife and the pirate campaign, I guess we'll call it the pirate campaign, right?
Yeah.
With like Helen and stuff, and you guys went to that magical shop, and my wife, being like the best D&D player ever, was like, hey, can I have a net that catches demons? And I was like, what do you mean, like a net? Just like a net you want to throw? He's like, yeah, I just want to like throw a net and they're like caught. And I was like, oh, okay.
The demon catching net, yeah.
Yeah, the demon catching net, and because I don't know, you guys aren't like power gamers, or like the situation is like, I don't know, I like your campaign is more about like intrigue and talking to NPCs and fighting's there, but like you guys are all badasses anyway, so like whatever, a demon catching net's fine. But like I love the idea of like having extremes in that campaign. Mm-hmm. So it's like this net will catch a demon and hold it in place forever. Yeah, because it's like I like the idea of demons being, because they're like kind of they're less like, they're like real, but they're like thoughts and emotions manifest. So it's like, you know, like a Varrock is like a wrath demon, and it's literally like, or a destruction demon, I forget which one it is, but whatever, it's like the manifestation of wrath, and there's a whole bunch of destruction stuff, right? So I was like, okay, maybe this thing is made out of like, I think it's cold iron or silver, whatever demons are weak to, but it's like the thinnest rope. Like it's like the thinnest chain links, right? Like it's just so easily breakable or whatever. But if you throw it on a demon, it has like all these magical inscriptions on it, and it just basically just, they can't move and they're nullified. And then I like the idea of like, you know, something like really serious, like a pit fiend or something, and you just toss the net on and you're like, ah, no, damn you.
My one weakness.
Yeah, my one weakness, this small net. And I like the idea of it just being like, it's not even like the actual surface area capturing it, it's just the fact that it's on top of them.
It's just like a tiny, like a small blanket on the shoulder.
Yeah, like a small blanket on them. They're like, ah.
I do like that, for one, it would be like easily breakable to anyone else.
Yeah. It's like, and it's totally useless on literally anything. Like it's basically just like, I don't know, a kind of shitty net to everybody else, but to a demon specifically, it's like god tier level stuff. Like you just toss it on the demon, and the demon's like, no,
not again.
Yeah, which I think is really fun, because you know that lends so much. Like it's obviously like, oh man, you could say that's so game breaking because you could shut down a combat, but I mean, sure, yeah, you could shut down a combat, but that means I could just have two of them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to work on one because we only have the one.
Exactly, right? And I thought it's just so funny. It also gives the opportunity for you guys to just like talk to a demon if you guys wanted to, because you captured it, right? It's like, what is this going to do? Right? It's just kind of stuck, and it'd be a good time to be like, "Hi, demon, what's going on?" And you'd be like, "I'll eat you when I get out of here." And it's like, ah.
It depends on the kind of demon, though, because there was a demon that we ended up talking to in our other campaign that Macy was having none of.
Oh yeah, but that was a contract devil, and she was just like, I liked her. I think her name was Ari. I don't know why I came up with that name, but it worked. But yeah, no, I just saw like the contract demon's picture, like the Pathfinder 2 contract demon, and I was like, this demon looks like she has a lot of attitude and really does what she wants. So, or like
so now she's in
or
the
whatever.
game.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, this is what it is.
That is one of the elements I like about the bestiary and other source books and stuff like that. It's just like, even just flipping through the chapters and looking at the art and stuff and just seeing something that just immediately catches your eye and evokes a certain sort of emotion to the point where you're like, this has to exist in my world space, because it's just so immediately like creates these ideas for you.
Yeah, totally. So is there any magic items that you've created that you want to talk about?
I was trying to think of, I have a couple. One of them is more plot related and one of them is more of a random thing. So the first one that I had made, really one of the earlier custom items I had made, it was more of a cursed item, in that it was basically like slowly infecting and killing a person as they ward. But if they get like a crit, then it would do an extra amount of like cold damage. And when the players had found it, the person who had found it, they didn't really know what it was. I think it was an amulet actually. Yeah, it was an amulet that they had found, and just like every night essentially, I would have them roll a will save against it of a steadily increasing TC for as long as they held it, because I think they were kind of sneaky when they grabbed it. They didn't tell anyone about it.
Yeah.
Until they had ended up wearing it, and then eventually, I was just describing how it was slowly affecting them and changing them, and then I had tied it into the world lore, saying how it had belonged to this powerful lich wizard who had ruled the land hundreds of years ago, and such and such. And I was just thinking about like that versus something a little less plot related. Like I was just trying to think of the difference between. Or I guess how would I phrase it? Like the different functions a custom item can serve.
Right.
Like either for building up the world itself, or for just sort of like filling in a niche. Because like I also had just like a very basic like a wizard spare glasses, and it would just hold like a small number of charges to cast Identify, and that was basically all it did.
Except to spare glasses, like it's like his other pair of glasses. Like, oh, let me get my glasses. Just like,
yeah, they had done they had done a quest for a wizard. I mean, they had done a quest for a whole town, saving a bunch of children. So as they were coming back, they were getting a bunch of rewards, and one of the things they got was from this wizard. He gave them this spare pair of glasses, which let them cast Identify like 1d4 minus 1 times per day. But to recharge it, you have to stare at the sun for 30 seconds, which was. Which is just a bit of fun for me.
That's so good. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Like I like those are really good items. Like I like the I like the sunglasses. The spare glasses. That's like really funny because it could just be like there's always like a goofy person in the party who's like, I'll stare at the sun. And he's like, And then, they have like blindness for a couple rounds or something like that, or. It's all good fun, but it's also still useful. Like I think that's the thing too when I try and like, well, if I'm not making like straight up like this is the magic sword, it does magic sword things when you swing it kind of deal, right? I want stuff to still be interesting, and both interesting and fun and useful. Those are the things,
yeah, right? That's kind of the main thing, because like at that point I was like, I want to make a bunch more custom items. But I don't want to use up all the players' spell slots on them casting Identify, because I went overboard with my own ideas and dragged them into it.
Yeah, nobody knows anything unless you cast Identify, or you're a 15th level wizard with the Codex of I Know Everything book.
So I was like, I won't use up their spell slots, but I'll make them blind for half an hour.
Yeah, that's pretty good. You should have them so when someone's recharging, they'll be attacked or something, or ambushed, or someone who's like knows about the glasses, and then like whoever does the recharge thing is like goes and like pickpockets them or something. Like so many cool things you can like do, especially with someone like spying on the group. They're like, oh, I know when the good time to strike.
Yeah, I recognize those glasses from that wizard.
Yeah. It's from that one wizard.
That one jerk wizard. Yeah, like I was just thinking, so like if you're making a custom item, so you think of like what's fun, functional, and I guess like I was also like because I was thinking like about I keep saying thinking, like the sword, like the armor set that we have in the Ineon campaign, how that's much more like plot related.
Oh, they're not. It's actually
sort
not.
Of.
It's totally not.
Well,
which is
okay.
Well, it's like my B plot. It's like I mean, if you guys don't actually want to go look for the rest of them, you guys don't have to. And like, but it's just there to, if you guys feel like, oh man, these things that we're fighting are a little bit too powerful for us, let's go find more of that armor set or another armor set or something to go uncover that stuff. And then we'll run an adventure where you go and, go find it. And you guys get another powerful artifact, because the more powerful artifacts you guys get, the more better equipped you're gonna fight. The encroaching doom that's gonna happen.
There's always some encroaching doom in these worlds.
Yeah. Well, whenever we're able to start that back up again, probably post-COVID sometime in like Q4 or something.
Yeah.
It will. I'll set the stage a little bit better. I think I've got a good idea for the final clash or conclusion. I think I figured out my big bad. I finally done that, which is ridiculous. And now I have to plot out a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm excited. I was like literally like on like what's the word? I had writer's block for the longest time. Like I really did. And I was like, I had a bunch of smaller stuff kind of prepared that like, you know, have nothing to do with anything. Like, you know, the disappearing people in the town. I mean, like, you know, stuff like that. I had really vague stuff like that.
Yeah, we got to deal with that still.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I hope you guys do, because that. So, I mean, I don't want to spoil it, but it's like it's not really. It's a B plot too. I have like B and C and D plots floating around all the time. But I'm excited to run it because it's been a while since like I created a dungeon from scratch. So this one's from scratch, so it's gonna be good.
Ooh, nice. Well, I'm looking forward to doing that.
Yeah, I'm excited to run it.
You mentioned. Oh, sorry. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, we're just amming at the same time.
Oh, okay. Such is the nature of a Discord call. You did mention though us talking to a demon while they were trapped in that demon net. And that's related to one of the other things I wrote down, which was changing things that you had planned to do because the PCs zigged when you expected them to zag. In our game that we were playing with Tim and Chibi, like way back when, in the far off time of 3 or so weeks ago.
Oh, was it that long ago? Wow.
Like 2 or 3, I don't know. Time is warped and bendable. But when we were playing that, at the time, I don't know if I've described this in the previous episodes, but essentially you were going to deal with a bunch of demons who had shown up because demons do what demons do.
And I think you described it in a previous podcast. But yeah, like you had that imp there. I don't know what fight you were gonna plan for the imp, but like I just grabbed it out of the tree.
You sure did. Yeah, like you would come across an encampment of a previous party who had gone to face these creatures but never made it back. So you were investigating that, and I had planned for you to be ambushed. So there was gonna be there was the imp in the tree that you found because he rolled low on his stealth. And I was gonna have some others pop out, but then you guys, like, after you had wrapped him up and they started talking to him, and I was like, this might be more interesting. Because my immediate thought was, in a combat encounter, there's a million different ways to spice it up. But in general, it's sort of a binary, like, win or lose this fight kind of thing. But I was thinking, like, if you're talking to this demon, that could go a lot of places. I didn't even... It was another situation where I didn't plan for him to be a character, but I was immediately in a moment where it's like, he could be a character, and then that could be something. I didn't know what, so I was kind of playing him like a little cagey because he's like a imp, but I was kind of trying to have him be sort of like he was clearly that he knew things, he was related to what was going on.
Right.
So
No, I totally understand. Like well, in that situation too, because I don't know why my DMing brain flipped back on, and I was like, okay, I don't actually know what Calvin has planned from us to find the camp and then us to get to the portal thing that we have to do. I personally was like, I was trying not to flip on my DM brain, but I was just like, oh god, I have to figure it out. I don't know.
No, I get that.
So, I grabbed the dude and I was like, okay, if Calvin put this dude in the tree and this is way too easy to grab this dude, he must have the answers. So I kept pressing him for information. I was trying to basically shake him out because we didn't have no clue where we were going, right?
No.
We're just kind of bumbling around until we find the place. So then, I was shaking him, threatening him, except our rolls were poor. So it's like, it didn't come across that threatening.
Not really. But I did have, he was only there very briefly. And then he got killed and then sent back to hell. But I did have fun with that character, and I think that was a bit more interesting, playing this random demon than it would have been just having him be a bag of hit points. Even though he could have been like interesting in combat, like anything can be. But I just like I figured like as an RP mode it was more interesting, and that was just sort of me changing things on the fly due to the players doing something unexpected.
Oh man, if I was DMing Calvin, I would have just lured everyone into a trap.
I mean, that was my intention for the finale, but
yeah,
it was still pretty dramatic, at least.
Yeah, I would have done it like 3 times, like 5 traps in a row. That's me.
Well, his thing was like he was gonna try to kill you guys anyway. Might as well bring you where the big stuff is coming out of the larger hell pit holes.
Yeah. So we're gonna fight one imp.
Oh no, there was more stuff. That's what I was saying. I had like because we were playing on Roll20, so I had a bunch of stuff like hidden on different layers. Ready to go.
Oh, okay.
Like they were there.
Oh wow, no, damn, okay.
I had all the tokens there, like I had where they were positioned, and that's why I was like specifically asking like where you guys were standing and stuff like that, and where you were dragging him, because I knew where their positions were in regards to the camp.
You know, I totally forgot that you could do that. I mean, like I know that like Roll20, like you know, do like I've done it before, but it's just like, oh man, I totally forgot that you can just surprise us like that. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Again, like, I had the whole thing ready to go because like with Roll20, I kind of lean into like being more specific with my prep. It's I guess one of the benefits or drawbacks, or however we're gonna say it. But I kind of feel like I have to be more specific with preparing for Roll20 than I would for something else, because it's like if I have the physical map there, then I need the physical tokens on it. I need a number of tokens and whatever else.
Yeah,
so
true.
Like I tend to pre-prep my maps, and I put like the enemies are going to start over here, so I'll put them here, hide them, whatever. And because they were imps and stuff, some of them are going to be invisible. There was some other stuff that was just going to be stealthing. But you found that imp first. So I was like, do I spring these hellhounds on you, or do I lean into this more interesting conversation topic?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, like, I like the conversation. I mean, it was kind of fun to interrogate somebody, because like I feel nobody interrogates anybody in the other games. It's either you're a friend and we talk to you for hours, or you're an enemy and we just murder you and then we just go talk to our friends. Like, that's it.
It's very binary.
Yeah, it's really funny. But maybe that's me. Like, I should probably have my enemies like talk more, emote more, or just just have that combat jibber jabber, you know.
Yeah. Because really, I mean, it's not a thing. I mean, I guess it depends on your DNA style, because it wasn't a thing that I certainly had prepared for. And I'm thinking, like, in general, like, if you're preparing a combat scenario, then you're expecting a combat scenario.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, like, I guess, like, the general topic I was thinking of is, like, just changing things. Especially changing your, I wouldn't say solid plans, but your more solid plans on the fly due to, like, just the PCs doing something unexpected in the moment. I don't know if you can think of like anything off the top of your head about that.
I don't know, it's tough. Like, I think that I'm such a minimalist DM that it's all made up.
Fair.
Like, it's just kind of all made up. Well, that's not true. Well, no, yeah, that is true, because I was thinking about like even like the bakery thing in the pirate campaign. It's like you guys walked into this bakery, you guys are just looking for a magic shop, and my wife, being the best player ever, she's playing a druid, and she's like, I've never eaten bread before. I'm gonna go find the best bakery in town and go sample some bread, because I just eat bugs and stuff because I'm a druid. And I was like, okay, man, no worries. But everybody else wanted to go to like the magic shop or like the
because we were like gonna get armed up for a fight, but
right. And I was just like, oh man, I need to spring a trap, but I want to make sure you guys are all together because this might be a little bit tough. So I was like, okay, cool. There happens to be one street with all the things you're looking for, which I thought was cool because it makes sense to have like a market area or like a shopping area or whatever. And then I had to make this bakery, and I was like, okay, the bakery is the magic shop. It's like a half bakery, half magic shop.
Yeah, like half bakery, half apothecary.
Yeah, and
I
you guys
really like that.
Oh man, and you guys like loved the crap out of that place.
Yeah, I mean, it feels so obvious. Like they're both based. I mean, they're both like mixing things, just mixing potions or mixing bread bread dough.
Yeah, right. And I described everything as like being like I forget what that old Disney cartoon is, but like how everything's kind of automated. Like everything is just like just a whole bunch of mage hands going everywhere, like mixing stuff, doing stuff, all like automated while like the baker's running around. I thought it was a really cool vibe for this super high fantasy city that you guys are in.
It really was. I mean, it's just like coming up with that like fully detailed space just on the fly because we did such a random thing.
Yeah, man. There's so many times where I feel like I could use a little bit more prep time, but I think that it's weird. Like every time I feel like I've over prepared, or like I'm prepared, I feel like I've over prepared, and then like I'm trying to get you guys to a place, like it doesn't feel like natural, I guess. But you know, it depends on the day and my mojo. I'm like that.
I have been in the position where like I've prepared because I'm still trying to figure out in general for like every game is gauging how long combat takes, because I prepare like several different combats. Yeah. And then I end up only using a couple of them, usually just as a matter of like running out of time and then having to refigure things out. So I mean, we could talk about prep for a bit. Okay, like as a matter of, because you do have to prepare. So, I mean, like me, I have to prepare some things. I can't. I don't know if I could just do stuff on the fly.
Right.
I don't know if I'd feel comfortable with that. I mean, I could. It's not going to be anything special. It might be fine for a one shot.
Yeah. Well, it's like, okay, so things I do prepare is like dungeon maps for the most part. If you guys are like, we're gonna go delve in some dungeons, I need a map, for sure. So I'll draw it out, or I'll figure it out, or at least I'll figure out the rooms and like kind of like north, south, east, west wing, where's the entrance point kind of deal. You know, and then maybe I'll plot it like, hey, so now I'll think about like, you know, what is the theme of the dungeon? Who lives here? Is there other people? What is there factions between them? Okay, cool. This is what it is, and these are all where they are, right? Yeah. But then it's like, if it's like a general adventure, like, I don't know. Let's say like Macy's tournament, arm wrestling tournament, that we did, the one-on-one game. Tournament. Yes. Yeah, right. That was, I mean, all I knew was that I had to like have the Hydra attack you, and I had to have you running up to the top of your tower to fight your brother all epic at the top, and then have him jump off the tower, land onto his ship, and you follow him. Like, these are the things I had to do. Like, which
obviously Macy is going to do all of those things.
Right. And I was like, I think these are the moments. Like, I really just kind of plan on moments, but I don't really know. And I'll figure out how to connect them eventually going there.
Yeah. You'll figure out the space between them, but you know, like, the high points of, like, what you're aiming for.
Yeah, definitely. It's you know, and names, I'm always struggling to find names because I never planned for names.
See, that was my inspiration for finding name generators and having name generators on the fly, because I would be like, because like in my own experience, even like having to come up with names on the fly for people, in one of my games, like I didn't have a name for an NPC that they asked the name of, so I ended up calling her Kala, which is Colla, because I happened to be drinking a cola at the time. That was just like I just needed a name, so I was like, yeah, her name's Kala.
That's so good.
And then she ended up being important, and I every time I brought her up, I had to be like, yeah, that was the name I gave her, and I ended up making her kind of a jerk because it was like, I just felt bitter about that name.
Yeah, well, yeah, man, it's too funny. Like, yeah, so I've tried to like have cue cards with like name generated a couple of names.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, like I've come across like a name that I've never heard before because from work or something I get like an email from this person and it's like, oh, their last name's kind of cool. I'll just write that
just
down.
Add it into your list of
Right.
I actually oh sorry, yeah.
No, go ahead.
I actually for Pathfinder or for fantasy stuff at least, I found like this really long list of just names. Yeah. And that's kind of what I fall back to, at least as far as that game goes, is I'll go look at this long, super long list of names. I'll highlight one, because they're sorted by like regions and sounds and stuff like that.
Right.
So I'll think, oh, this one looks good. I'll just highlight it and I'll say that's it. And I'll try to remember like in my notes to write down the name. And I make sure to like bold it or highlight it in red so I know I used it. Yeah. But for other stuff like sci-fi stuff like Starfinder, I can't have a name of a bunch of like a list of a bunch of names for every single alien race. So like for stuff like that, I just kind of look up a name generator, click it a few times, and hope something jumps out at me immediately.
Oh, that's how I feel like the pressure's on, man. Like when someone's like, "Oh, what's this dude's name?" I'm like, "Oh God."
Let me check my notes.
Yeah, and you're click.
That is a moment where you have to be like, just pretend you know what you're doing when you're actually just generating the name.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I don't even pretend. I'm just like, I have to figure out this dude's name. Give me a second.
Just tell him straight up.
Yeah.
I think I'm like 90% sure there was a moment like that in Critical Role where the players had asked Matt like what the name was of a character in a book they had picked up, and he looked down like he was looking at his notes, but I'm like 99% sure he was just looking up a random half-orc name.
Yeah, no, obviously.
Because I recognized that same moment. I'm pretty sure I had that same expression.
That shocked look. You're like, yes.
Let me check my notes. List of names. Oscar.
Yeah. Jim. John.
Man, naming people is hard.
Dude, yeah, sometimes, man, like, you just tell your players, you'd be like, what name do you think this person has, or whatever, right? Or, like, what's the name of this town? It's like, you guys can name it, and you guys come up with a name. I think that's kind of cool. And when you just pass it back to the players, being like, hey, man, what do you think it is? Because, I'm not the only one with the good ideas around the table. Sorry. I didn't know my phone was on.
No problem.
Real professionals around here.
Sure, for sure. I don't want to keep falling back to naming people based on looking at things in the room. But you did just mention something important, which was you're not the only one at the table with good ideas. So, let's lead into the topic of bringing your players in for world building.
Yeah, okay.
Because that's sort of a thing I've personally wanted to expand on. Right. Trying to figure out how to do that is basically give the players more of a chance to contribute to the world space they're playing in ways that don't directly relate to their character. But I always feel weird when I'm doing that because I feel like it is pushing some of my responsibility as the referee of this world to push that onto them, to sort of like put that in their lap and say, like, here, like, do a part of this. And I know it's like a very small part because I'll be like working on like the overall, like, here's the bad guys, here's their plot, here's the overarching story or quote unquote story, whatever you want to call it. But like maybe just asking for some extra stuff for the players. I always feel like I'm asking too much if I'm asking people to contribute something that isn't immediately related to them.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I would say you should, or maybe I should, or we all should. Maybe from when you're like session 0, you should have session -1, right?
Sure, yeah.
Where it's like it's all kind of like, okay, so here's your character. Here's the general theme of the world or the region, and here are the constraints, right? So I always find that players always want to play all these crazy shit, right? And that doesn't, like, you're like, oh man, I want to play, a slug person who from the deep ocean, but the setting is like a dry desert, and it's like, okay, well, you can't. Right? It's like you'll just melt. I don't want a slug person in my dry desert. I mean, like some DMs flex that way, but like sometimes it's just like, nah, don't worry about it. Like just do something else. It's way cool.
Start off immediately at a disadvantage.
Yeah, right. But I think that it's great. Session 0 is a great place to start because, you're generating a character, you kind of have an idea. It's like, okay, so this person is from, obviously has a past, and working in the backstory, you could be like, okay, well, from this place, where does it make sense to put this place?
Yeah.
Right? So, Macy is a criminal background because he's worked for a criminal family, and you just like, okay, I forget what the name of your town that you're from, but it's like the town is next to the cliffs, and this is where cliffs, like Krieg's Cliffs, and that's where your gang hangs out.
Something.
Yeah, something like that. And I was like, okay, and then just take that and you literally just plop it down in your world, and maybe you don't have to plot to revolve around it, but you could have an NPC or somebody be from there and have like a little thing where it's like, oh, do they recognize Macy, right? Or does Macy recognize them, right? But it doesn't have to be someone directly to their past. It could just be somebody who's, just been there, and it's like, hey, aren't you the daughter of that person? And then Macy be like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, right?
Yeah, Macy's deception is surprisingly high for how I play her. But yeah, like that is something that I do. Like if people are going to like make an expansive backstory, then I want to put it somewhere where like either they'll come across it, but I do want to expand on it and make it part of the game world itself. Like I've been doing that with pretty much all of my games.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out how specific I should be about details. Like with our Starfinder thing, there were a lot of details there, a lot of stuff that you guys might be able to come across in the future, especially for Tess coming from the Vescarium Empire.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff going on there, and now that they released a new book about the whole thing, I was just like looking at that and I was like, oh, this might be useful. I gotta remember to talk to Deanna about it sometime.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I don't think it has to be like, even if you have an expansive backstory, if someone just has like a simple idea, it's like, oh, I don't know, I grew up on a farm, and it's like, just talk to them about it. I think people can just come up with good stuff, like if you just kind of ask the questions, right? And then be like, okay, well, or you could even piggyback them onto somebody else's backstory. I find that the issue a lot of times is just kind of trying to tie the party together, because you're just, you have to, like, you're all a bunch of idiots by yourselves, and then you have to be idiots together, right?
Exactly. That's why everyone's mercenaries.
Right. Everyone's a mercenary. Everyone's traveling, and I was just like, it'd be a lot easier if it was, because everybody's friends around the table. You guys should just be
have
friends.
known each other from before. Yeah, like that is a good idea. That is a good thing. It's just what I was thinking of more specifically was like having players contribute something that isn't about their character, like it isn't about their backstory, and then giving you those that you can expand on, or they give you some small details that you can like weave in or to relate to another character. I just mean like someone has an idea about something, and you just put it in there, like that kind of thing. I don't know if that's crossing some sort of like line where you're asking too much of players in your world to build part of it.
Nah, no way. Like, I think it's fine, but I think you have to have the type of player to really want to do that, right? Like, those soon to be DMs.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they're able to contribute a thing and have it not interrupt their play if it comes up.
Yeah, well, I don't. That totally worked. I mean, like in the Pirates game, what is it? All you guys, the PCs, just you guys came up with the whole subplot of Lance LaPance, like immediately. Like it was crazy. I was like, I honestly, it was one of those things where obviously I didn't prepare, and I'm just flying by the seat of my pants because I'm a cool DM like that. and you guys I mean, I don't think I think this was before you might have joined or whatever, Calvin, or maybe it was the session.
I think it might have been the time we should probably describe Lance LePants.
Oh, I don't know. It's basically like Lumiere from the Beauty and the Beast, but as like a person who's and you know that group loves their love triangles. So it's like Payne's character, they're all Payne's character and Rebecca's character, Ray and Misty and Lance. They all grew up in the same town, and they all had like kind of like a love triangle growing up. So like Misty is obviously the eye of both boys, and Lance is kind of like trying to be that suave Frenchman kind of vibe, and Ray is kind of like that rough kind of not so smart kind of vibe but kind or whatever. And it's really funny how it all kind of everyone kind of plays off of each other. And you know, that again, like they came up with that out of nowhere. I don't even know where Lance LePants even came from. Like I don't know where the name came from.
Oh,
they just said it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't remember, because I think that was the session I joined, though. That was when I first joined with my first character, Drake.
No, yeah, like I think Payne just said it, and I was like, yes, that is this dude's name. And then immediately I was like, it's Lumiere. I was like, oh, Lance LePants, like, you know. And every time he's like, you know, there, he just hurls insults at Payne's character, calls him like stupid and stuff. And always, every time he gets a chance, he always tries to like swoon Misty to stab everybody in the back and like run away with him and stuff like that all the time.
And then Helen blew up his ship.
Yeah. Well, Helen. Well, to be fair, Helen was introduced because Lance hired her to take him and Misty away. But then, you know, in the best kind of comedic fashion, my wife was playing just regular ass. Yeah, I'm just gonna punch the dude. Rolls in that 20. I was like, well, that dude's knocked out. You guys just took all this stuff and booted out of there, and then became pirates.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I actually. That's a very good point to have brought that up. Just like that's something I've liked about that group, in that they're so much more relaxed about things, that they're more willing to like lean onto the DM screen, as it were, as opposed to being against the fourth wall.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, like I guess that's just something like I don't know how I would encourage that in a group of people, though.
I mean, it's just like the type of players, right? Like you can't. I just think that, you know, our that group of players are, you know, they're just really comfortable with each other in general.
Yeah.
And likes to kind of just make stuff up on the fly, and that's kind of like the way I kind of like to play it. So there's a lot of synergy.
That's true.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. I do want to let people express their creativity in that space if they so choose to.
Yeah, just leave it open, man. Like, let them just literally ask them. Be like, yo, what do you think? And they're gonna be like, here's this thing I thought about for 5 seconds. And you're like, that sounds pretty good, because I was gonna do the exact same thing.
Take that and run with it.
Exactly, man. Just let people open up that DM screen. Let them kind of let them in. You know, we're all here telling dumb stories with dice, killing monsters and stuff.
Yeah, I think there's some benefit to being able to surprise people with stuff, but I do like the idea of just having them like involved. I want to make it more of a collaborative thing.
Yeah. I think it's like the improv thing is like yes and right. And I mean, there's a point where you tell people no, that's kind of dumb, like, or like that's kind of crazy, like you can't have that. Yeah. Right. But
it's too bad.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that sometimes when players like say, like, hey man, I want this is my crazy backstory. I'm super powerful and demons are chasing me. And I was like, well, okay, no, I don't think that's the case. But we can do something else, right? Yeah, and maybe, and then maybe after you tell somebody no, like you figure it out on the back end how it should work or how you feel like it would fit in better, and just don't even tell them. Just be like, just introduce it. right? And they're gonna be like, what? But I thought you said, oh. Right? And then the mystery is on, right? Because they kind of know what's going on, but not really. They don't know all the details about it because, you know, it didn't come straight from them. But, you know, you're trying to, like, play into what they wanted to anyway, right? So then you get that good satisfaction of, like, everyone's happy.
That is something that is fun about being a player, though, the not knowing everything. As much as I want to, like, as much as I'm talking about, like, contributing other stuff, I do like not knowing things. As far as being a player goes, that's, like, always the most enticing part to me. Because, like, oh, now I'm going on a tangent, so, you know, it's a regular episode. But, like, there is the, it's just so, I think I've talked about this before. I don't know. It's just so freeing not knowing everything. All you have to know is yourself, and then stuff happens, and it's like, well, I didn't expect any of that.
Well, I mean, that's how I feel when that's how I feel as a DM. Like, I think I never actually know how something's going to turn out. I have a good guess, but a lot of times, like, man, like, I'm, again, because of my unpreparedness, I was just like, all right, we're here. I've thought about it for a little bit. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
And typically we walk away and the session's good. You know,
like, as the DM, you're sort of like, you're turning the pages, but you don't know what players are going to write on it. But as a player, you don't know what those pages even are. So there is something of a amount of freedom in that.
Yeah.
Well, since it's a special day, how do you feel about? I just kind of randomly wrote down this stray thought that I had. But how do you feel about, like, calendars in game? Like, just like date tracking and things like that, because I was just looking at some of my other notes here, and I saw that I forgot I even did this. I was making up, like, holidays in my game.
Right.
I had, like, a Star Moon festival, and I don't know. I don't even remember what it was, but
yeah. Well, honestly, I think they're hard.
Yeah.
I think they're very hard. To implement. I think that I cheated a little bit and I decided that everything is even in my world. So it's like there's 4 months in every season. Every month has 25 days and there's 4 seasons, and then the total is 400 days. And I was like, and every new season is like a new, like, holiday or festival or something. So it's like, you know, it's all pretty chill. Like, and that simplicity is, like, you know, kind of, I mean, it'd be better if I figured it out a little bit more and add special days, but I was just like, you know what, I don't think it's really just for me to track the progression of stuff. It's like, so, you know, stuff doesn't happen during a week. Like, I can say this takes 7 days to travel, and then I'll mark off the 7 days, and it's like, well, you know, you guys have been adventuring for like a year now and you guys have all this stuff. So it's mostly just for me, it's like, maybe retroactively, or if I give something, it's like, okay, this thing is going to happen in like 3 months. You guys have to get your stuff together, and it has like time crunch where it's like, so, you know, you can only do so many things and visit so many places within that 3 months or 1 season or whatever. You guys got to figure it out. And then because of that constraint, everyone's like, oh God, we got to actually make some decisions, right? It's not just I show up and the plot moves around, right? I have to, like, engage into what's happening, because if you, let's say, whatever benefits you're gonna do from completing this dungeon or go talking to the NPC or figuring this portion out, you're not gonna have that available to you at the final fight or whatever this thing that's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, that's like the purpose I think a calendar really serves, is to kind of you could put that time constraint on, saying like, okay, you have a month, figure it out.
Yeah, that's a really good point with regards to that. I've been using it as, like, tracking, like, again, like you said, in retrospect, like, note tracking. Like, they were here on this day, they did, like, these few things, and then they spent a week in this place, they spent so much time in this other place. I do like it for a bit of world flavor, though. Yeah. Just to give players, like, oh, it's this month, this day of this month, this year. I just kind of feel like it adds a bit more to creating the reality of this space.
Yeah.
Because they
Yeah.
would need a way to like track time. They would know
Right.
what day it is in this fictional world that exists only in our minds. But
Yeah.
they would need to know certain things. So I like it to just keep track of, like, just to not only say this is where you were on this date, and then not only say this is how long you guys have been traveling together, but to also say this is a living, breathing world that has its own places, its own people, its own dates and months.
Yeah, definitely. But it's like, and to be fair, the calendar I have is like only like regional, right? I mean, like if you think about everywhere else in the world, like the actual world had like different calendars and they track time differently and whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, also like I like the idea of 4 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like 4s and 3s are kind of like the thing. So it's like there's 3 bad guys, there's 3 witch sisters, there's 3 demons. Or like really 4s. There's 4 different knight orders with 4 sets of armors, right? Like kind of just like 3s and 4s are I think a good number for stuff. So it's like, each season has 3 or 4 months because that's typically what happens in the real world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it 100% happens in the real world, kind of, depending on where you live. Anyway, I actually got to call it a little short.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like, all right. I mean, we can just wrap up right now. I did want to close off on like just a quick shout out to any games that aren't fantasy, because we seem to be talking largely about fantasy. But I guess that would only just be like us managing to mention Lancer for the first time here. I'd rather give that topic more time to breathe.
Yeah, I want to put it in the thumbnail, but like if we just talk about it now, I think like it would just be kind of not appropriate.
Yeah, maybe that'll be our next episode. We just talk about games that specifically aren't fantasy. We'll save that for then.
Yeah, I feel like I barely play games that aren't fantasy, but Lancer is something I really want to get into. So let's start off the next episode with that.
Yeah, I can already tell your engine is revving on that one, but you have a hard out, so
yeah.
It's a bit of a shorter episode, but I think we've covered a few different things here. I think we've covered a lot of good topics here. So I will roll into our classic outro, wherein I tell you all, our lovely viewers, to check us out on the socials, on Twitter and Facebook. If you like this video, just drop a like on it. Drop a comment about like what you might want to hear us talk about in the future, or if you have some ideas for if you've seen our world building episodes. If you have a couple of things you want to contribute to that, just drop a comment or just say hi. Check out our website, winwithdice.ca. And yeah, you can head over there. You can see some of the... we've updated some stuff on the site recently, especially in regards to artwork. So you can come see like the show thumbnails and stuff like that, and seeing all the pixel art that we've got, and all the other cool art that we have there for our shows. And that is about it. Ramon, do you have anything you want to say before you head off?
No, just keep being awesome out there, and it's my birthday.
Yeah, everybody wish Ramon a happy birthday 2 days prior when this goes up on Wednesday. All right, folks. We'll see you later, and keep on winning with dice.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye.